Man, and we are back. Glad to be back for another week here, back on Black Friday. My name is Christian. We got Omar. We got Chris. Uh, been a good week long. It's really busy right now. I'm not gonna lie, we're really busy. So we're trying to make this happen the best we can. Back here on a Saturday, not a Friday, but no, we're making it happen. But I mean, we've had a lot going on in this past week. Most notably, I would say just in recent days is from the attack on the Capitol, and most recent as well as MLB's announcement on the All Star game. Before we get into that, though, we just want to thank everybody again for tuning in, and we appreciate all of your support. If you want to support us in any sort of way, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you feel free to donate to as well, we appreciate your donations. Reach out to any of us to make those happen. We appreciate y'all for that. So, one of the first things I wanted to get into here was Ron DeSantis himself issued an executive order banning vaccination passports at every sort of business and establishment in the state of Florida. And I think that's 100% the right move in regards to, as far as, we talk about HIPAA violations. I don't know where that falls under, but it's extremely invasive. And it's starting to get to that point where people are looking at us as domestic terrorists if they say that we don't want to get the COVID vaccine, which is absolutely bonkers to me. It's absolutely crazy. I was just watching the San Francisco Giants opening day, and they're mentioning that if you want to go watch a game at the ballpark in San Francisco, you have to either have a recent negative COVID test, I don't know how recent, or show proof that you've been vaccinated just to get into the park. That's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. I think it's gone way too far. We gave the government an inch, they took a mile, and we're going to keep letting this happen, and this is what we're going to get. I just can't believe it.
That's exactly what this is. You give them, you allow them to check your health status, check your vaccination status, check this, especially the government. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep going. It's never going to stop. They said 2 weeks to slow the spread. Then they said as soon as the vaccine starts to roll out, now we can't open up or else you won't get the vaccine. They're really holding this over our heads until every single American is vaccinated. For some reason, they want everyone to be vaccinated. And if you believe it's for the welfare and the well-being of American citizens, you're wrong, because Washington has never cared about the well-being of the American people. They're more interested with the well-being of the American elite's pockets. That's what they care about. It's not really about us. So I just don't understand the people that are pushing so hard to have vaccine passports, to make it so everyone must get the vaccine. Like, last time I checked, this is America. This is the land of the free. I shouldn't have to get this vaccine.
I shouldn't have to tell you if I did or didn't get it. I shouldn't have to offer an explanation why either. People are popping off. And I think this is a whole big ploy, just the same as virtue signaling. People taking pictures of their vaccination cards, wanting to show, they want to show that they're helping, that they're doing something. If you want to help and do something and preserve the freedom for all the other Americans here in this country, you want to really do something cool, really do something special, preserve the rights of everybody and stop being a sheep and just go along with everything that they put in front of you and say, okay, that's fine. Go against the grain for once.
I'll say this. I take an interesting perspective on this. If a private entity, a private company wants you to show a negative COVID test to make themselves feel better, that's your private business. That's that business's choice. Shouldn't be government.
Is that a HIPAA violation?
Huh?
Would that be a HIPAA violation? I'm not sure, but would it be?
I think HIPAA is it would only be a HIPAA violation if a doctor or nurse gave that information without your permission. That's a HIPAA violation. But if you gave it willingly to go into that store, it's not. So, you don't have a right to go into that store. So it's more of a decision to give up your medical knowledge to go into that store.
It's interesting because
I'm pretty sure that's how HIPAA works. I'm pretty sure HIPAA violations are for medical professionals, and they can't give up your information without your permission.
Yeah. The thing
But
but there's a lot of places where they're not allowed to ask for your medical condition, like in certain stores. Like in California, you're not allowed to ask if somebody's dog's, actual like seeing eye dog or actual like, emotional therapy dog or actual service animal. You're not allowed to ask those things. So I mean, like, are there any laws like you're not allowed to ask certain questions of people walking into a business? I mean, it's going to be pretty invasive here. It's going to get real invasive really quick. So where's this start? Where's this going to stop?
I just think if anything that's government mandated is government controlled. So I'm not for the government mandated thing. If a private business wants to do that, and maybe just for certain private businesses, I don't necessarily have to go to a ballpark.
No, but it's going to get
or a football field. I have to go to the grocery store in order to eat. It's about
my biggest worry here is when the corporations take over this. You're going to need it to fly. You're going to need it to go into the store. You're going to need it to go here. Every sort of service that you're going to need eventually, it's going to get taken over. And it wouldn't shock me by any bit if the government had a hand in it. Well, it's not government regulated, but if you want to do this, though, you're gonna have to show us that you got a negative COVID test or you got vaccinated.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty soon when the government's like tax breaks for companies that make it required that your customers have vaccines. Like, I could see that happening 100% with the Biden administration, something like that happening. And I think personally, I really don't like the COVID vaccine passports or checkpoints or whatever, even with private businesses. I'm a libertarian. Yeah. I don't agree with it. No, I don't think that it's a good business practice, and I think it's a slippery slope because we don't live in a free market economy. We live in crony capitalism where the government gives out favors and gives out subsidies to corporations and helps them. They bail out the banks, bail out the big three auto industries, and they continue to do so. So you really can't make the argument of the free market because we don't live in a free market economy. If we did, then I would say fair enough. I'll open up my own grocery store and I'll compete with wokey lefties grocery store and their vaccine passport. But we don't have that. I can't compete with Kroger. I can't compete with Walmart. No. I can't compete with that.
No, and the pressure, when this stuff turns into corporate run, I have an issue. And that's where me and breaking off with libertarianism is that there's some people that are so diehard libertarian as far as let the private sector decide. And that turns into a corporate run sector, it's just a corporate run. And I do have a big, big issue with that. At this point with big tech and everything going on, these people can control every aspect of our lives. I'm not here to submit to my overlords with Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and everybody else looking down on us, from up top. Like I'm not down for that. I'm not. And as far as the private, when it infringes upon rights, private, public, I don't think it should be allowed. I'm done with it. Civil liberties got to be protected at some point. I don't know by who. If it's going to be me on my own, I don't know who it's going to be. Somebody has to do it. But it's getting past that point. It's absolutely crazy. They're going full board with this. And the thing is that there's so many people that we know that we see every day that don't even consider these things, that they don't think about this. Where could this go wrong? Where is this going? What direction could this turn to? Nobody thinks that far ahead at all. And they just think about right now me getting my $1,400 stimulus check and life is good. Thank you, Joe Biden. There's bigger things at hand, much bigger things at hand. So that's where I think I'm big time worried. Just a big time corporate takeover happening here in regards to all this. And you see it already with the celebrity and the media. All the institutions are nutting up together against this. They just made another video. We need to have a global transparency to show that people have been vaccinated and ensure the safety. They're pushing this thing bigger than they did the whole resist Trump movement. This should scare people. This is absolutely crazy.
I think that's exactly like you just said, what should scare people, that the government is pushing this so hard and that they want you to get this. Again, I said this at the start of this episode. Why do they want you to get this so badly? It is not because they care. I repeat, it is not because they care. Joe Biden has been in government for 50 years. He does not care about you or your family. He does not care about your well-being. Nancy Pelosi does not care. Chuck Schumer does not care. Hell, even a lot of Republicans don't care. They don't care. It's not about you. It's about their own well-being and their own interests. So the fact that they want you to get this vaccine so badly, and they're willing to get the vaccine on camera in front of the nation, it's really questioning. Like,
Do you really think they're getting? Do you really think they're getting it?
I don't know. Joe Biden.
I don't think. I think they got a sugar shot.
Joe Biden might have been getting his. Joe Biden might have.
That's what I think they got.
Joe Biden might have been getting his medication on national TV. His the medication that makes him stutter and fall asleep in the middle of everything. But
dementia. People with dementia get shots now for it.
Who knows? Maybe it's just Joe Biden. He's an elite. He's the president now. One of the most powerful men behind Kamala Harris. She's the most powerful man. But honestly, it's getting to the point that I just am very questioning. Like, I've not put my tinfoil hat on yet. I don't think that they're tracking us in this shot. I don't believe that. But there's something. There's something in this shot that they I'm just questioning why. Why? What's the purpose? Why? They don't care about us. They really.
Why
don't.
is it so urgent now? Why is it of such urgency now? Why do they care so much now? Why? Why are they forced to use the celebrities and the media elites, big tech and everything to push us against us right now? Why? I just want to know why. There's something bigger at hand.
Because the left is in power, Christian. The left is in power. So therefore, anything that is going to be done, that is coming out of that White House or coming out of Washington and coming around to us, the common people, it's on them. So therefore, if Trump, who helped develop these vaccines, if Trump's vaccine actually works, but Biden's face is on it because he's president, oh my goodness, the left just won. They won really big.
Why is it that black folks are so skeptical of this thing just when Trump was in office, and now they're rushing everybody to the front lines and telling everybody to go get vaccinated now? Why?
It's like the syphilis outbreak. We're guinea pigs for it.
Why are we always the guinea pigs for this crap? I'm sorry, why? Why are we always?
We let them.
Whether it's the trans movement, the transitioning kids, whatever it is, pushing LGBT or whatever it is, any sort of crazy, stupid agenda, whatever, just wild, out of pocket thing, they go to throw it on the black community first, see if it can work. I don't know why or how.
I think it's because black culture leads America right now, and I'm not talking about like rap and hip hop and all that, but really the approval of black culture means a lot in American culture. If you don't have the approval of the black community, then it probably won't go far. That's why racism does not really work anymore. And there are examples of it going, sideways and working. I mean, you have instances of people being racist and then everyone wants to buy their album for some reason. I don't understand why. Not going to say any names, but that's an example of it going the other way. But I really do think that white liberals, and which are the majority of the heads of these corporations and companies and conglomerates, they're the ones who care about the opinion of black communities because they're saviors.
Chris, you're absolutely right on that. Black culture is not monolithic. In every genre of anything you can think of in the world, black culture, especially American black culture, is so special and so unique. Even as simple as James Brown or Michael Jackson, or even black artists or black writers, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, they created American culture. They integrated their experiences and their mindsets and everything they went through into American culture. Without black culture, there is no American culture. Now the left has been using that to say, okay, we need this and that and this and that, when it's not supposed to be like that. We need to recognize that black culture is American culture, and American culture has tenets of black culture in it, and learn how to appreciate it in a way that shows, hey, we're still black, but we're still also American, if that makes sense. Because like you said, it's not just about rap or hip hop. White liberals don't just want to emulate that. They want to emulate the way Black people look, because it's a beautiful experience to look Black. You know, they want to emulate how we think, how we walk, how we talk. It's just something about us. What we as a culture of people have been able to cultivate and create. You know, out of nothing came something, and it came something beautiful. I know I went into a little rant and spiel there, but I just want to say that.
I'm just worried that the current culture has nothing good that they're falling back on, and it's turning just kind of degenerate for the most part. And that's what I worry about as far as the great things.
That's why liberalism taking over.
Oh, but it's just like the things that are pushed on from the record labels and the media companies, and movies, and everything else. It's pretty downright degenerate. It's pretty not good. Like, it's just not good stuff.
Who controls those? Are they Black who controls the record companies? Black liberals or white liberals?
Well, actually, here's the thing. It's very, very interesting here that you bring that up. Is that mostly white people do run the music industry, Hollywood, etc. But when you have people that are on the forefront, like Diddy and Jay-Z, talking about Black on this, Black on that, and then they go ahead and sell off their companies to white people and then make a profit off of it, it seems pretty disingenuous at best. It seems pretty fake and pretty unreasonable. It seems like it's kind of all of just a giant scheme to get Black folks to keep buying their garbage and with no disregard for anything to actually do with them. So, I don't think they don't, the culture, it's not great right now. What's perceived as Black culture a lot of times is just ghetto nonsense. It's not like just Black. It's just like absolutely just dysfunction and absurdity. I don't like it. I really don't. I don't like when somebody says, "Oh, you're talking this way, you're doing that way." So, like, oh, he went to college and got a degree, and you were slanging dope on the corner. It doesn't make him less Black than you that he chose a different route. But according to the culture, the only way to do it is through struggle. You got to struggle. You got to go through something. You got to go behind bars. You got to do something else. You got to go crazy, whatever it is. And that's what makes you affirmatively Black. And that's the stuff that I got problems with, is because it didn't always used to be that way. It didn't always used to be that way. It shouldn't be that way. I think we got to have something turn. Something's got to change. I think we're in for a long time here with what's going on currently.
I completely agree. It's interesting to see what's happening, and honestly to see where this direction is heading. I really am hoping that we can kind of get out of this cycle of wokeness tied into the Black community. I feel like forever, since Black people were brought to this country, they have been used as tools for this country, and now it's continuing with woke liberalism. And it's painful to see that people in the Black community don't see that the Black Lives Matter is not a movement to help Black people, that none of that money is going to help them, none of that money is going to support them. Burning down your community does not help your community. I know it might be shocking if you're hearing this, but it does not help. And Target is not a representation of white supremacy. You can't burn it down. It really is sad to see, though, that people aren't realizing that they're being used and abused, and this is all just a ploy to get the Black vote, continuing to vote for Democrats for the next, 2 decades, and it's going to continue like this. Every time somebody's killed, that's why the first thing the media says is it was a white guy. It was a white guy, and then it turns out it was a Middle Eastern guy, and then it doesn't matter.
Actually, just like you mentioned, we're going to segue right into it. Yeah, man attacked Capitol Police at the Capitol, rammed his car into 2 officers, and the media immediately jumped on it. But then they stopped reporting after they learned that the man that did it wasn't white. So what had happened here, if you guys don't know, prefaces, just happened yesterday. 25-year-old Noah Green, a Black man, was a follower of Louis Farrakhan in the Nation of Islam. He rammed 2 U.S. Capitol Police officers in his car before he got out of his vehicle with a knife. Police shot and killed him. And one officer, Billy Evans, was killed in the attack. Rest in peace, and my prayers go out to his family. It's absolutely heinous. This is just ridiculous. And then total silence over the media and the waves. You don't really hear too much more about it from those people anymore about it. Or they've shifted the narrative into somehow this is getting back into gun control. The guy used a knife. We're still talking gun control. If you check Ilhan Omar's Twitter, talking about, think about how much he could have done if he had an AR-15. Like, how are we going into the what ifs over something heinous like that? It's just awful. never missing an opportunity and then just going absolutely just dummy with it. That stuff that's not even applicable. Like this is the two way. This is how it is. It's if you're not white, the media doesn't care, and the people that do heinous acts, we don't want to glorify them already as it is. But if he's white, his face is everywhere. And people in America don't seem to care about it. They don't care if there's a double standard. And there's only a certain way that news and media gets reported. Only one certain way.
And they really don't care at all if it's not a white guy. If it's not a white guy, it's a hit story for a day, 24 hours. They find out it's a Middle Eastern guy. They find out it's a black guy. Find out it's just anyone who's not white, a white Christian male or whatever. Then they're gonna move on to the next story that promotes their woke leftist views. And it's really sad because you can tell the media does not care, and America does not care. And you could even play it as the media doesn't care because the people don't care, or the people don't care because the media doesn't care. They don't care about any other life. They don't care if it's black on black crime, and everyone says that. Oh, well, what are you doing to help the inner city? Me, I'm not reporting on anything in one way or the other. I'm saying that if you take someone's life, it's evil, and you're an evil person. I'm not going to paint it as white supremacy or racism, and I'm not painting a black person killing a white person as black supremacy or racism. No, if you're just an evil person, you kill somebody. It's just that evil, and I'm not putting my own agenda on that and twisting it like the media does. And that's why it's just sickening to see. And another example that the black community really needs to see and wake up, that the media and leftists don't care about you. They are not coming to help you. They're not reporting on these deaths. Little children are being murdered all the time in inner cities like Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit. And the media does not care. They only care if a white guy kills you. Not if your brother, your uncle, your dad. It doesn't matter. Anybody who looks like you, if they kill you, it does not matter. It has to be racism.
Huh. And there's actual instances of like bad police brutality happening when they unwittingly shot a white dude, while he was sleeping in his bed. Never made any sort of national headlines. Actual instance of wow, holy crap, they actually got this one really, really wrong. Never made the headlines. Never made anything ever. And you want to talk about, they actually need to reform. Here's an instance of where we could actually have a conversation about it. But no, we're going to go for whatever happens. Some black guy goes ahead and, for example, Michael Brown and Ferguson. Let's go take an example. A black man goes in there and reaches for an officer's gun and gets shot. Let's all march in the streets and burn the whole city down for a week or two, and go out there. But there's an actual case, a low-hanging fruit right here, bad police brutality that you want to fix. But because he's white, you're like, nah, we'll go look for something else. We'll go look for something else. Let's not. Just that's all the cause is.
Yeah.
Now, is it Black Lives Matter or is it Black Lives Better? And that's one of my questions.
I'll say this. Of course, I didn't hear much about this story because obviously it's not being reported. But I am just baffled by the media, that the media decided not to pick up on this, because they're trying so much to protect the Capitol. Oh, let's protect the Capitol. Let's put bars up. Let's put fences up. And just because it's not your narrative, okay, the number one goal here is to what? Protect the Capitol now because we're fearing for our lives. So did any of these Capitol
head for everything, Omar? You just said it for everything, for literally everything that we're going to talk about, everything that we talk about. Why do we have to get a COVID vaccine passport? Why do we have to worry about it? Oh, because we're fearing for our lives. That's our ultimate excuse for everything. That's the excuse for everything. You just said it right there. We fear for our lives, therefore we get to take your rights away and do whatever we want. You said it. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is what I have to say to Nancy Pelosi. You fear for your life? Well, I would like for you to go back to your California mansion or wherever you are, because I know simple houses in San Francisco go for $1 million. My grandfather's house, which he sold in the 90s, of course, just went for over $2 million a couple of years ago. And it was a very small house in San Francisco. So go back to your San Francisco mansion, which probably has gates or security, and you stay there, lady. You're not going over there and doing your job. No, nobody is, and that includes a lot of Republicans too. Nobody's going over there and doing their job. If you know what, I do want you to feel some type of safe because you should, because the Capitol should be protected. That's why we have Capitol Police. But by doing all of this extra stuff and then not caring about the man's family, this man probably had a family or has some sense of family somewhere. He has a life. He has a story. Why aren't we broadcasting that? Why? Because he's not a Trump supporter. Why aren't we broadcasting this? This is major news. If you're talking about, oh, let's protect the Capitol, let's protect the Capitol, this should have been major news because because you wanted to talk about the guy that was in the line of duty during the January 6th riot, which of course we needed to talk about him. He laid down his life for his country, but so did this person, and we need to talk about that. It needs to be highlighted. Say his name, like they say her name with Breonna Taylor. Say this person's name.
I believe the officer's name was Billy Evans, if I'm not.
Say Billy Evans' name then.
And it really, like you said, why is this not national news? He's not white. Not a white guy. It doesn't fit the narrative. They don't care. If this, imagine, just let's close our eyes. Let's play Ilhan Omar and let's play a what if. What if it was a white guy? Oh my God! The every TV with CNN on in the airport because that's the only people who watch CNN. MSNBC, they'd be going crazy. Facebook, LeBron James would be tweeting about it. It would be the end of the world because a white man committed a crime in a predominantly white country, and they would have called him a MAGA supporter, a Trump supporter. They would call him a right-wing extremist. This guy, they're probably chalking up to mental illness or something to do with capitalism. I was reading some of like the last of his like tweets or whatever. I don't know if it's tweet, Instagram, whatever. And he was just saying his life is in shambles. I think he lost his job or something. Like they might blame that on capitalism or something, or racism. He lost his job because he wasn't white. Like they're gonna do something like that. They'll not blame the Nation of Islam, trust and believe, because that's Islamophobic. It just doesn't fit the woke narrative. And it's when you kind of see the pattern that the media plays, you can't help but kind of laugh and say, like, this is just ridiculous that the majority of Americans don't care about this and don't really see this as an issue. This is 100% an issue. The fact that they don't report the news truthfully, honestly, and unbiased. They do it so with extreme bias. They put their twist on it, and they're gonna call racism if it's a white guy 100% of the time.
Oh, yeah, that's 100% what they did. They pivoted to racism and gun control as soon as this happened. That was their big point. But but racism and gun control. Okay, it had nothing to do with what happened. But we got to focus on what's really at hand here. What's a real big deal? What's a real issue? So, Omar, you can do us the honors here. So Georgia passed a lot of secure elections, and overall just kind of reform, kind of a busted system that people chose to neglect this last election cycle, and kind of locked it in. Okay, can you explain what exactly they did, and then we'll get into the most recent news regarding it.
Okay, so Georgia decided to protect the integrity of their elections. As we do know, there was not a good verification system among many states, and it's not just Georgia, but numerous states, especially like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin, and I hope they do rectify those injustices. But there was not a great verification system, whether it was ballot signatures or ID laws. No, none of that was involved. If you wanted an absentee ballot, you got one, and if you got an absentee ballot, you probably could have still went in on election day and voted if you wanted to. A lot of times that did happen, and it was reported that it did happen. I don't know the frequency or how much it was. I really don't know, but that did happen. So what Georgia did was, one of the main parts of its law is if you want an absentee ballot, you have to present your ID X amount of days before it's time for you, before they're due or before they're sent out. I can't remember which, but you have to present your ID. Um, there's also there's also a provision in there where um, everything has to that presenting the ID is the simple verification process. So I believe they copy your ID, they verify it with the ballot. With the ballot, this is your ballot. This is your signature. This is your signature on your ID.
And they use your ID
Boom.
number.
It's verified.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They use your ID number on it to make sure.
Right.
So
apparently,
black people don't know how to do that, Omar.
but we know. But here's the thing: we know how to go to the liquor store and show our ID there, unless we're over 40 and we have gray hair. A lot of places. I know a lot of places in Georgia and back home in Mississippi. They card you until you're 40. So they know how to present that license or that ID. Then they know how to do it when they get on the airplane or the train. They know how to do it for other things. When you sign up for credit cards or something, they know how to do it for so many other things, but they can't do it to vote, to protect the integrity of the vote, to say, hey, I am Omar Peters. This is my vote. I'm going in to vote. Thank you. And no other Omar Chanel Peters, that's my middle name. No other person named Omar Chanel Peters with this ID badge number or state issued driver's license number, this social security number, yada, yada, yada. Nobody else that is on the rolls with the same name can cast my ballot. Stacey Abrams is going into a whole spiel about, they can't pass out water. Oh, they can't pass out water. Number one, okay, yes. Now
there's a whole lot more that they can't do than pass out water. Now they're losing out a whole lot more than a cup of water right now.
Yeah,
that.
I stood out in a long line to vote, and I did early voting because I knew on election day in 2020 I couldn't make it to the polls, but the fear was that volunteers for campaigns will go undercover and whisper because you can't check everybody. The precinct bailiff who's at the front of the door to make sure nobody's out there with a sign within 150 feet of the precinct, can't just go to everybody that's whispering and say, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. You can't. You physically can't. And the county can't hire a lot of people to just go around like that. So what they do is they'll go around passing out water and say, hey, vote for this person. Hey, vote for this person. Hey, vote for this person. Now you can't do that anymore. Bring your own water. We're not saying you can't have water. You can't have a snack. Just bring it. Bring your own stuff. I don't see a problem with that. Now, if they said no water at all in the lines, now that would be crazy. But
that wouldn't make any sort of sense. That would make no sense at all.
Right.
That would make no sense at all.
I don't know about you guys. The only reason I go to vote is so I can get that free food and water in line. I want those volunteers to bribe me all day long. It's really stupid like that. And this, again, shows that the liberal elite really think less of black people, especially because they are calling this racism. Apparently, we don't know what a DMV is and we don't know how to get an ID, but we can show our ID to get on a plane, a train, a bus, or whatever, to buy alcohol, buy cigarettes, buy weed, if it's legal. It's not legal in Georgia, I don't believe, but it's legal here. You know how to show an ID for all this stuff, but I don't know how to show an ID to vote. And in Michigan, you have to show some sort of identification to vote. To get your ballot, you do. I don't know if it's just an ID, but I always just show my ID because it may be surprising. I did know how to get an ID. Joe Biden, in case you didn't know that, I was able to get my ID, no problem. I just had to wait in line because it's government run, it takes a while. It really is. It's insulting that they don't think that black people can do that. And also, the Stacey Abrams is a hack. She's just trying to get money. She's just trying to stay relevant so she can get money because she lost her race. She's just
trying to run.
She's going to run again. And honestly, don't know where Georgia's going on that one. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. I don't know which
No.
direction Georgia's going to go.
Some people are mad now, and I think they're mad at Stacey, and they're mad at a lot of other people. I think they have right to be now. Just yesterday, Major League Baseball announced that they're moving the All-Star Game and the MLB draft from Atlanta due to their voting law. It was very, very racist, apparently. But there's no evidence of that happening whatsoever. But because the corporate elites up at the top and their sponsors with the MLB told them to, they went ahead and did so. It might be China. Who knows? It might have been China that pushed it. I don't even know. There's pressure from up top. You don't even know. You don't know where it came from. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of critics, and a lot of them, you know who they're blaming for this? They're blaming Stacey Abrams. They're blaming Joe Biden. They're blaming Raphael Warnock for going out in there, standing up and saying the whole time that they can't get a cup of water. This is Jim Crow in 2020, the 21st century. This is the worst thing to ever happen. Now they're losing off on major economic opportunities by hosting the All-Star Game. It's a big boom for business in that whole surrounding community. It's supposed to be Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street's getting no love now at all. They're missing out 100%, and this is all their fault. This is what they get. This is literally what they get, and it's people and their businesses are going to suffer because of that.
No, that's what's so ironic about this is that it's 100% in the name of calling out racism. We're going to take away $100 million of investment into one of the blackest cities in America. Atlanta is 54% black, and they're taking all this money out. Why? Because it's racism, to fight racism, of course. They're going to move it somewhere. I don't know if they announced where they're going to move it to. Guarantee it's going to be a whiter city. There aren't very many other cities that are more black. Looking at the list right now, it's funny enough, Detroit, Michigan is actually the blackest city in America. So maybe they'll come to Detroit, Probably not. There's nothing in Detroit. But
back to Comerica Park, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably not going to go to a blacker city. They'll probably go to a blue city, which is probably going to be a lot of white people. Let's see. I mean, I don't know where. I don't know. I don't watch baseball, but I don't know. Christian, where do you think they're going to go to instead?
They could go anywhere. I mean, I don't think they're going to go to Detroit, especially. They're going to go somewhere where it's more open because they want to put butts into seats. They want to sell tickets and make money. Because even as woke and stupid as they are, as they just lost out on a lot of money, they still want to make money. So they're going to go somewhere where it's pretty open. They'll probably go to another red state, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if they did or did. I wouldn't be surprised if they went to a red state and did it.
I can see Dallas.
They could put it back in touch. Maybe, I mean, yeah, until something racist happens.
Dallas is open. It's got a lot of minorities there, black, mostly Hispanic though. I can see it there, but the MLB moving it, they're really taking a lot of money from a black city, and that money I don't know where it's going every year, but the thinking is it could go towards black communities that need it most in Atlanta. So who's the real racist, in my opinion? Is it state of Georgia? Or is it the MLB taking $60 million out of one of the blackest cities in America? Like you all said, I think it's wrong, but it's going to backfire on them. I mean, this whole BLM thing backfired on the NFL and the NBA. Yeah. With ratings. So
yeah, it's really interesting to note here too. Like
conservatives don't need the MLB. The MLB needs conservatives, just like
100%. They do. They need basketball. It. No, Republicans buy shoes too. Michael Jordan said it. But it's interesting to note that Delta and Coca-Cola and the MLB haven't listed a single specific issue that they've had with the bill that was passed in Georgia at all. It's simply because their beef isn't with the bill at all. It's literally that their perception of it. Because there were predominantly white people and there were majority Republicans that passed it, it must have been racist. Which is stupid because they just lost out on millions of dollars that hurt a lot of black people and probably would have helped out with a lot of their voting base. They shot themselves in the foot.
The only backlash I can really see happening is if Delta were to pull their entire operations out of Atlanta.
They won't do it. They won't do it.
I don't think they will, but if they were to, that changes the ball game really big. That's
They won't because it's all a facade. They don't believe in that. They don't believe this for 1 minute. They wouldn't move their whole operation out of Germany. They don't believe it.
No, it's only to get the woke points, and so their Twitter can say like, "Look what we did," and that's all it is. And people will forget about it in 2 weeks, and it doesn't matter. It really is not like a huge deal to them. This is just so that they can stay relevant, get social media points. Same with the MLB. Same thing with what the NFL did with Black Lives Matter. Same thing with the NBA and what they did with Black Lives Matter. And like you said, Omar, it backfired on them. This is going to backfire on the MLB, on Delta. Maybe not Delta as much, but conservatives fly. Conservatives watch baseball. Conservatives go to baseball games. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Stop bringing politics into your business. You are not doing well. That's like business 101. Don't bring up something that 50% of people don't agree with you on. It's not going to go well for your business. If I was selling lemonade and I said half of the cups were poison, you probably wouldn't just drink from it. It's like, or if I said you're going to, like if I serve where a food that 50% of the population is allergic to, I'm not making as much money. I should serve something that everyone can enjoy. Maybe baseball without woke politics, or flying without woke politics. Like Delta, Coke, MLB, they all need to take a lesson of that, because I think they forgot that they've been top of the game for too long.
You know what? It reminds me kind of like the civil rights movement. Businesses would not take. The businesses took a hit when because of politics. Basically, they took a side. It was whether popular or unpopular within that state. They took a side and they lost business. It's a weird parallel, but it's a parallel there.
The way that I see it, it's like it's a business here, and this is what they do for the American population here in the sports world. Is they've got pineapple pizza right in front of you, and half the people don't mind pineapple pizza; they think it's pretty good, and the other half don't like it at all, and they don't care for it. So you already lost 50% of your base. Okay, the other half, sure, they like it, so they're going to stay around for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But if all you have is pineapple pizza, those people are going to leave too because they get sick of it. They get absolutely sick of it. Then you're going to have nothing, and that's what these people are going to get. Absolutely nothing out of this. People are going to get sick and tired of this,
right?
Because the average American isn't a raging communist. They're not. That's not the average American. They're not. So you're going to lose the middle. You're going to lose those people. They're going to go away. You're not going to increase your base. You're going to decrease it significantly. It's going to be total loss of revenue, and it's what they deserve. It's what they get. 100% what they get. So MLB, good job. You made your bed, lay in it. Get in the casket. You're done. Toast. All right. So what do we got for a jobs report, Omar?
I'm going to say this is the first jobs report I've looked at since the Biden administration has come into power. You can't really count January or February. Well, you really can't count January because half of that month was Trump's anyway. And you can't really count February because no policies have been implemented at all, unless you want to count all of those executive orders, which didn't really mean to nothing. But the job report was pretty good. Over 900,000 jobs were added, which was way above expectation. So there are jobs out there for people that are looking for jobs. The unemployment rate went down to 6.2%. Again, that's not that's not the level it was pre-pandemic, but it is the lowest it's been since the pandemic. Joe Biden is out here going around saying that, when you give the Americans a chance, no, this is what happens when you give American people the chance. It goes against his entire platform. It goes against the policies he's about to enact, especially with climate change, which is still losing a lot of jobs. The oil sector is still losing a lot of jobs, oil and energy. There are other sectors in the labor market that are losing a lot of jobs because of his policies. And the only reason why we're still gaining some type of jobs is because of tax reform of 2017. That's the only reason why once that is gutted and those job numbers go down, God bless America. That's all I can say. And I also want to point out, when you look at these numbers, if you're liberal and you're watching this and you're saying, "Oh, he's acting crazy. The jobs numbers look great." Look at the type of jobs they are. Yeah. If they're not wages that are really above $15 an hour, which I'm not talking about $15 minimum wage. I'm talking about a private entity, a private company choosing to pay its workers $15 an hour or more, which I'm for. If the private entity wants to do that, let them do that. It's their money. They need to distribute it how they need to or how they want to. So if you're getting a lot more jobs that are not in the energy sector, but are in like retail and restaurant, and I'm talking like waiter, waitress, hostess kind of jobs, if those jobs are being advertised and put on, yeah, we have a problem in America. We're not getting good paying jobs. That's the problem.
What's the labor participation rate? What's the participation rate here for the workforce? Like what we're looking at as far as people in and out and like actually contribute?
To be honest, that I don't know, but it is much lower than what you think, because all of that is calculated different from the job support. The job support is calculated, like you said,
people that are employed or unemployed, but then there's the people that aren't working that aren't calculated.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So the actual unemployment rate is much higher. It's probably around 15%, to be honest with you. That includes people who are on unemployment, looking for work, not looking for work, things like that.
Look real quick and find those numbers. Could you find the number for the workforce participation rate?
That's honestly, that's let me look at that. That's one of the funniest things about government is that with these numbers and these calculations, they're like, guys, look how good the unemployment rate is. Well, wait, aren't there people who don't have jobs? Well, they're not looking, so the problem doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Like that doesn't mean that the economy is soaring with a low unemployment rate.
Okay, yeah. Now the labor participation rate is much different than actual unemployment and the unemployment that you see on CNBC or Fox Business or CNN or whatever. Labor force participation rate, I don't have a March number, but I have the February number. It's 61.4%. And judging from the previous months, it hasn't moved. Actually, it looks like it's gone down from January and December and November, which means that you can expect real unemployment, when everything is calculated, real unemployment to be above 10, 15%.
People that...
It may be 20.
That are just out of the workforce period. They're not applying for anything. They're not working. They ain't doing nothing. They're just sitting idly, or they're not doing nothing. So, yeah, people are straight up out not working. And so that number, it's like, oh, are people active or are people not active? And if it's like a low active number, we're like, oh, there's nothing. Like, dude, like you just cut out half the population and the rate. Like, you see, like, oh, look, everybody's here, but then you have like a whole, like, pull back the other curtain and you see everything else behind it. You're like, oh no. That's kind of what you want to like look and see.
And we need more people willing to work in this country. I mean, I'm sure we all know somebody. I know a few people who currently are not working because there's unemployment. Why? And people say this: why work when the government can give me money? Like personally, my pride, my ego, I couldn't do that. But you know, I understand where people are coming from. We're in a panorama. You got to do what you got to do. It really is frustrating, though, to see that the government gives out money when people, and there are people in need of it. And I completely understand that. I'm not saying there shouldn't be, but there are able-bodied people who could be working, and there are jobs available who are not working. And that I think is unfortunate. And there are people also scamming the system. I'm sure. Well, maybe I don't know if you guys know somebody. I know people who have made some mention of things here and there, and I'm like, that doesn't sound too legal. But It's unfortunate. Let's stop giving money to people who can work and let's get them back into the workforce, because that only helps us as a society instead of coddling and giving people welfare and unemployment money. I think it would be better that way. But again, let my last point. I just want to say, if you need unemployment, I'm not saying people should not get unemployment. There are people who need it and people who abuse the system. I'm not conflating the two. I'm saying people who abuse the system should not be on welfare or should not be on unemployment. They should have to get back into the workforce. But for my final thought, honestly, it's been a hectic week. We really can see that. We saw this every week, that the media and the government does not care about Black people or the Black community. We're going to continue to see that. It's been a trend for around 200 and some years, and it's going to continue. It's getting funny at this point, laughable, I would say. But my final thought, I hope everyone has a good Easter. Enjoy yourself. Don't think about politics. Don't argue with grandma and grandpa. They only just enjoy yourself. Enjoy the ham. Enjoy the holiday. That I'll say that's my final thought.
For my final thoughts, you need to watch and question everything. We say it all the time: watch and question everything, and do your research. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but Pete Buttigieg, who is the transportation secretary, he is considering putting in Biden's infrastructure bill of taxing the mileage that you have on your car. So for every mile you drive, you're going to be taxed on it. That's a red flag. And if you don't think that's a red flag, God help your soul, because I'm not paying the tax for that. So please question, watch everything, go to your meetings, go talk to the people that represent you. They're there for you. If you went and voted, you help to either vote them in, or they still answer to you because you're a constituent. Also, have a great and happy, I say Resurrection Day most of the time. Super Christian. But remember the real reason for this time in this season. Jesus died to save you from your sins. He is Lord and Savior. He is the only way to heaven, or at least that's my belief. And ran over. Have a great time. Enjoy your time with your family.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Y'all enjoy the time with your family and your loved ones. You never know when those times are going to go. I miss my family personally. If you're watching, y'all, I love you. I'll see y'all soon. And no, man, happy Easter. I mean, it's a time to sit down and reflect on things that we can't really understand, like why this would happen, why someone would send their son to go die, for people that we don't know. They're like, why would somebody do that? It's unfathomable. For your own, for a father to send his own son to go do something like that, you just can't wrap your mind around it. And that's because we're people and he's not. And it's just some of those things to sit back and reflect on in these times. And it's a good time, especially to spend this time around families, to get a better understanding of all that. Hope everybody had a great week. Hope next week's even better. And we'll see y'all next Friday.